This is a Hope 1032 podcast.
As followers of Jesus, in whom all things were made, we acknowledge the Darug people as the traditional custodians of the country on where this podcast is recorded. We recognise their continuing connection to the land and waters and thank them for protecting this land and its ecosystems since time immemorial. We pay our respects to elders past, present and future, and we extend that respect to all First Nations peoples listening today. I'm Georgia and welcome to Finding Hope, the podcast that reminds you of the good in the world. Each episode tells the story of someone who has found real hope in challenging times and made the world a better place. Episode 58, Safina Stewart. Safina Stewart is a proud Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander woman, a Wuthithi and Mabuiag Island woman, to be more precise. She is an artist, a wife, a mother, a Christian, and that's in no particular order, by the way. She is also the relationships and storytelling coordinator for Common Grace and is passionate about culture, the arts, education, justice and faith. I am so honoured to have gotten to know Safina over the past few months, and it is such a blessing to have her on the podcast today. Welcome to Finding Hope, Safina.
Thank you, Georgia. I was so excited about coming on today that I didn't sleep well last night, and I had to even get up at midnight and make myself a settling cup of tea because I was so excited to be able to come and talk to you. That's real and true story right there.
You are a blessing. If it makes you feel any better, I also didn't sleep well last night. I didn't get to sleep till almost 2. So if the conversation is like slightly sleep deprived, it's fine. The people will forgive us. Safina, let's start. Look, it's currently at the time of recording, we are 8 days until we go to the polls to vote on the Indigenous voice to Parliament. I know for you and your community, it has been a trying few months. How are you doing?
Oh, gee, you start with the hard ones, don't you? It's been really tough. It's been quite exhausting for our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander community. It's interesting, isn't it? Because this referendum is about asking for the Australian people to consider the invitation of our mob to give us a voice to be able to speak on matters that affect our lives by not only recognising us in the Constitution, but also adding in a body that would be the voice to Parliament, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander group that's elected from our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander community to speak on matters about us, on behalf of us and for us to the government. So you would think that during this referendum, the experience of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people would be wonderful, that it would be a time when we would be given spaces and places of wonderful platform, and you would think that we would be so embraced and celebrated. And yes, at times that has happened, but what I've heard over and over and I've experienced myself is that this has been a really trying time where racism has, it's peaked its ugly head, and we have had a very intense period of having to explain ourselves in and amongst a whole lot of very deceptive and confusing information that has not been helpful, but in effect has actually caused a lot of pain, a lot of hurt. And in this space, we have not only been called upon by people, the Australian public, the media, the newspapers, social media, to speak up for ourselves and defend ourselves, but not only that, we have also wanted to stand with our deep dignity and wisdom that comes from our very ancient cultural heritage that is so connected to the land and to our great Creator. We have wanted to stand with great resilience and honour, as we have been taught by our elders to do, and yet it has been met by an environment that has been quite hostile. So for myself and for other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Christian leaders and other spokespeople within our community, it has been a lot of work, a lot of processing, and that is on top of our normal cultural load, which is somewhat invisible to many other people who are not aware of it. The racism within our society has often also been invisible. And so we have also been counsellors to non-Indigenous people as they have come to just have a little taster of the vulgarity and the violence and the unfairness of many attitudes, perceptions, systems, and structures that are obviously causing incredible disadvantage and continual oppression to our remarkable and beautiful First Nations people. Something that I am very grateful for is that there is not much argument amongst most of the people that I speak to that the disadvantage that Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people experience, the disadvantage is real and the disadvantage is extreme. That is not the argument. The argument that has been awfully politicised is whether we be recognised in the Constitution and how we might be recognised and how we might be able to be empowered to speak on matters that affect our lives. Most people agree that we should be recognised in the Constitution because we have never been recognised in the Constitution, even though we are the first peoples of this country, even though our stories, our ancient stories, can take us all the way back to the very moment when Creator formed us from the land and breathed into us the air and breath of life from Creator's very own lungs. We have those stories. They are in our oral traditions and have been passed down from generation to generation. Those stories and this land is like the Bible to us. They keep our heritage, our culture, our story, our identity, and our languages alive. And yet, we are not in the Constitution. How remarkably ridiculous. We know what works for our people. We know our children. We know our ancient wisdom and our culture, and we know our land, our waters, our animals, our plants. We have been taught by Creator how to care for all of these, and yet our hands are tied, and here we are in this historical moment with such the privilege of having a democracy that allows for a referendum to be the responsibility of the people to change the Constitution. You see, politicians can't change the Constitution, only the people of the nation. And so here we are as Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people with a beautiful invitation, an invitation to our fellow Australian people asking, would you have us please recognised in the Constitution, and would you please allow for us and stand for us to have a body that speaks directly to the Parliament, a body of our own people who we have elected, who we are accountable for, who are accountable to us, so that they can speak with wisdom, insight, incredible experience to help you, O government, to make better decisions, and in such doing, help us get better outcomes for our people. We are a humble people. We are a hospitable people, but we are a resilient people. And so whether or not you hear our cry as it echoes yet again, whether or not we will keep going, we will keep championing, we will keep resisting injustice and calling for justice. We will keep calling for truth. This referendum is history making, and I am so proud to be standing with my Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander leaders, Christians, as well as with allies and friends who are saying, we can do this, we can believe in more.
Safina, beautiful words, such important words, and I really do hope that those listening right now hear them and really hear them. Safina, I'd love for people to understand more about you as a person. You have lived cross-culturally here in Australia, New Zealand, Papua New Guinea. Where do you feel most at home?
Oh, well, I have felt home in each of those different places, and yet there are some where I have struggled to find home. I'm incredibly privileged to have been a child of missionary parents, pastoral parents, who shifted and moved and were a part of so many different diverse communities. In New Zealand, where my mum and my dad were at Bible college, I got to be beautifully adopted into Māori community. As a little baby, when a mother goes off and has to attend a class, you get given to an auntie. And so I'm very proud to have been fed from the milk of a Māori woman whenever my mother was not able to feed me. I also am so privileged to have grown up in the most beautiful, remarkable space of Papua New Guinea. I have deep soul and heart connections with that place and with the people, all the aunties and uncles who adopted me as a surrogate niece. They taught me that brown is beautiful. And they taught me that the heart of things matter most. Not so much someone's words or their behaviours, but the depths of their heart. I have known incredible hospitality and honour demonstrated by my Māori and my national Papua New Guinean friends and adopted family. My dad, he was a Bible school teacher in the highlands of Papua New Guinea at Christian Leaders Training College, and he was a pastor to the pastors. He was training national, we say nationals, but it would be the indigenous people of Papua New Guinea, you see. And he was training them to be missionaries and teachers of the Bible and pastors to their own people. You see, from a very young age, it was modeled to me that you don't have to have an invasive group come in to colonize and Christianize a community, but that actually one of the best ways that you can bring the love of Jesus in is for when there is transformation in an individual or a family life, and they re-enter a space where they are already connected to community and family, and through their life and witness that the love of God and the gospel of Jesus is so very, very deeply trusted because of who they already are, integral to that community. When, however, I was 10, we came back, and I put that in inverted commas, we came back to Australia because my parents needed to continue their theological studies, and we went to the Bible College of Victoria, which is in Lilydale, Victoria. When I came to Australia, however, I did not receive the belonging and feeling of home that I had understood in places that were not my biological home. I never was allowed to belong here in Australia, even though my heritage from my mother was Indigenous to this land. And even though my father had heritage of a migration story from England and Scotland, and yet had come to call these lands home, the fact that I was mixed, the fact that I was part black, meant that I never would be included in the broader communities and societies. It's interesting because I was so elite. I was high achieving in my studies. I was a good student, despite having dyslexia, not being able to read very easily, or, flipping numbers back to front in a maths class. I was an astute learner. Because of my ears, I was taught to listen from a very young age with my oral traditions. So even though I was an elite sportswoman, even though I was elite in the creative arts and also in analytical thinking and communication, None of that proved to be enough. There was still this exclusion. You are not a part of us. We do not want you here. Tame yourself. Change yourself if you want to be accepted by us. Prove yourself. All of these things can be very, very damaging to a young person. I had refreshment when I was 13 and we returned for 2 final years to Papua New Guinea after a lot of pain that I had suffered in the young years of grade 4 and grade 5. I did my grade 6 and my grade 7 in Papua New Guinea, and it was as though I had been taken from the scalding, hot, burning coals of the experience of racism that I had just had in those final years of primary school, and I got placed in a healing ward of hospital where my wounds were rinsed, where I was refreshed in my soul again, and I was put back together again in a small way during those grade 6 and grade 7 years. I was able to process a little bit and then prepare myself to leave the beautiful Papua New Guinea and return permanently to Australia. Even at the very young age of 12, I had to make up my mind to be true to who I was, to continue to find out who I was, not through the eyes of others, but through the eyes of my Creator and my Saviour Jesus, and through the love and experience of my family and my heritage and my relatives. I had to build that into myself at the young age of 13. I remember getting on the plane that day, surrounded by hundreds and hundreds of friends and family in Papua New Guinea to farewell us. And I hope you don't mind me telling a real woman story here, but I got my period that day. I shed that day for the first time. I exited my childhood and I entered into the weight of womanness as I left that beautiful place that nurtured me as a child. My early years are so precious to me, Georgia. I am so grateful to my parents for the experiences and love and the holding that they gave to me. I'm so grateful to the Indigenous communities that adopted me in, and I'm so grateful for my God for keeping me despite much suffering, much confusion. The story continues. It wasn't an easy journey. I didn't find myself at 13. I lost myself over and over and over again. And yet, my point here is that I was willing to take the hand of my God and say, no matter where we go, I'm following you. And that's been the trajectory of life for me. It's been one of trust and courage. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you. Oh, thank you so much for sharing. Let's talk about your love of art, Safina. You are a gorgeous artist. Your pieces are absolutely fantastic. And you draw from not only your rich heritage when you're creating, but the stories from which you grew up and you share. It's a deep source of wisdom and inspiration for you. How do you, I guess, when you go into your studio, how do you get in the zone? Do you have like a process?
Oh, the process. Process would mean that there was potential order and clarity. Let me correct everybody on that. The process on making art is about play. And we all know that play is about the freedom to be messy and the just to not even care if you fail, but to have a go. There's adventure in the creative process.
How long did that take you to learn?
Oh, I don't even think I've learnt it. I have realised it, and I have wanted to embrace that more and more. But sometimes I'm really challenged by pervasive thoughts like insecurity and inferiority, performance. I worry about whether people will like it at the end, and it's not even started. I get intimidated by blank canvases and tubes of paint that haven't been opened. I like looking at brushes that have never been used because they're perfect, realizing that they have not reached their potential because they have not become messed yet. I now love keeping my old brushes because I think they tell an incredible story. The process for me is one of trust, listening, play, and connection. Connection to myself, my deep inner being, that gutsy woman inside of me, that inner child within me that wants to play. Connection with Safina joy, that one that only I know, that private space, that one who I'm getting to know every day and who I'm really enjoying getting to know now, instead of ignoring her or pushing her down or wanting to change her. It's a trust of myself, but it's also a process of trusting my creator. You see, this gift, people say it's a gift. This gift of creativity and art isn't something that I made. It was given to me. It was a gift to me. So when we say gift, it's not even about me. It's about the giver. Our creator gives gifts out of love so that life can be expressed and connections made. And I happened to be given this incredible ability to move color and create symbol and story, and then to be able to talk about those stories so that those stories could connect to others. Through those stories, I can make connections between people where cultural divides are leapt over, and embrace and honor, and friendship can come. I love being able to be an artist, but you see, I can't take all the credit, and nor will I ever dare to, because really I'm co-creating with the best teammate, creator. I am co-creating in a team with the Holy Spirit, and I'm co-creating in a team with the suffering Savior who knows all about the enormity of healing. And so my art practice has actually been really helpful to me in the healing process of my life. I do not go to the studio when I am strong. You'll find me in the studio when I am in pain. You'll find me in the studio when I am ugly, when I am broken, and when I have some pretty deep questions to be asking my God and myself. My studio is like entering into my inner soul. It is a very private space. And, sometimes people ask if they can come and visit me in my studio. I always say no now, because it's actually a very sacred space where I get to meet myself and I get to meet my creator, and we can swaddle in for a good cuddle and make beautiful things, beautiful stories together. That one day will turn into a gift for others. But at that moment, I'm the one receiving the gift.
Oh, Safina, you have such a way with words. Goodness me. Let's look further for a minute. I want to go back to this national conversation that we're all having at the moment. You hear the term reconciliation talked about a lot, but I don't know that it's talked about with what it truly means. And I feel like you have this deep understanding of what reconciliation between Indigenous and non-Indigenous people can mean in this country. What does that look like to you?
It's an interesting term, isn't it? Because it means coming together and rekindling a friendship that once was, rekindling a relationship that was good, that got broken, but we've got memory of how it can be good. And so let's go back to how it was. Like in a marriage where there was romantic, beautiful love and commitment and vows and community and celebration and reception and food and wine and dancing, and then life lived together. But then something happens and there's a divorce. Well, reconciliation would be returning back to what was, the beauty of what was. I'm just using that marriage example. I'm sure there could be lots of others that people could think of as well. But it is based on the premise, this word reconciliation, the premise that we had good connection before, that something has disrupted that, whether that's your fault, my fault, no one's fault, and that with a willingness and decision by the mutual parties that we can endeavour on a journey to restore what was. Now, this is where it gets a little bit weird for me because I can't say that for our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people that we would associate our relationship with the colonial invaders as being a good one to start off with. Immediately, there was ill intention against our ancestors, our old people. There was warfare, massacres, dispossession, slavery. For all the intentions and invitations for Aboriginal people to share their hand of friendship and welcome people safely onto their traditional lands, their traditional laws were broken by the settlers, by the military, by the clergy who came in the name of the British Crown and crossed. Boundaries of respect and honour were crossed, not just out of disrespect, but with the intention of overtaking and annihilating the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. So from the very beginning, the onsets, it looks more like a war zone, not a beautiful marriage where there's a reception and a white dress. So therefore, in the context of Australia, is reconciliation actually the appropriate word, or could reconciliation be misconstrued where it's a placation of a white guilt? It helps people on the privileged side that have not had to survive the atrocities and yet are living with the privilege that has come from such atrocities. Is it for them to, I guess, help their broken heart feel a little bit better? I struggle with these questions, Georgia, because I also know the word reconciliation being the most beautiful, loving act of God, wanting to reconcile us, humanity, back to himself and to the rest of creation for right relationship. I know the story of Jesus to be one where God initiated reconciliation. And in that space, we did have right relationship at the beginning, didn't we? We all know the story about the garden, that beautiful garden where Adam and Eve were in intimate relationship with great God, great Creator. That word, it relates beautifully in that space. But here in Australia, to me, it does not seem like the appropriate word of what the goal should be. To me, words like justice, making things right, advocating, compassion, mercy, repentance, forgiveness, humility, ownership, responsibility of wrongs, and confession are actually words that are needed here in this country. And so I look at that as an Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander person, and I look at this as a Christian woman. I look at this as an Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Christian woman, and I go, so where does that lead us? What's the invitation here? If it's not the word reconciliation because it is so problematic, then what would the word be? We have heard in the referendum, through the Uluru Statement from the Heart, we have heard the word makarata, which is a Yolngu word that has been gifted. The word makarata, from my very, very basic understanding, it means a coming together after a struggle. It's a word deeply seated in truth, truth-telling, listening, honour, respect, humility, courage, and an audacious hope that things can be better and mended. It is a word deeply immersed and marinated in trust. And it is one that we cannot fulfill ourselves without the help of the great, loving Creator Spirit. It is a word of faith when I look at it. Faith in Creator, faith in myself, faith in the other that's staring me in the face. So I will continue this journey of truth-telling, and I will continue this journey of trying to stand, be bold and dignified, to be a wonderful ambassador and representative of my Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander family and community, as long as they would like me to take that role in place. But I do that not for me. I do that for we, because we need each other. Non-Indigenous and Indigenous. First Peoples, Second Peoples. Traditional owner and migrant. We need each other. And if we are so proud and egocentric to think that we don't, may God humble us by cracking our knees and lowering us to the level of prayer where we can, with great submission, call for help to help us to rise out of the pit of despair and broken relationship that we have been in. It is because of my faith that I can believe better for my people. It is because of my people's resilience that I step in with faith to engage with the broader Australian community to call us to a greater and better tomorrow. This referendum is an incredible opportunity for people to hear the voices and the calling, the beautiful invitation that is the statement from the heart, and that is this action that we can take right now to change things for the better for our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities. I often get people asking me, what can I do to help your people keep journeying with us on the long journey ahead for justice and for healing, for the flourishing of all peoples, all creation.
Safina Stewart, it has been an absolute honour to have you on the podcast today. Thank you so much for your generous wisdom, your storytelling. You have the most beautiful way with words. I could listen to you talk for hours, but unfortunately, we'll have to end it here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, Georgia. Thank you so much to all the listeners for hearing my heart and for listening so deeply to the call of our people, and in taking all of that to our wonderful, beautiful Jesus and asking, what should I do? Thanks everybody so much.
Thank you so much to Safina Stewart for sharing her story today. For more information on Safina's art and also the work of Common Grace, you can visit the show notes. I'm Georgia, and thank you so much for listening today. To help this podcast reach more people, you can rate, review, subscribe, and share it with a friend who might need a little extra hope right now. For now, I'll leave you with this verse. Strive for peace with everyone, and for the holiness without which no one will see the Lord. Hebrews chapter 12, verse 14. Catch you next time.
This is a Hope 1032 production. Thanks for listening.